All right, it's time for Friday feedback. We look at some of the feedback on the show from the last week. You can always email info@davidpakman.com. Sometimes YouTube comments will be highlighted, sometimes a Reddit post, or could really be anything. People sending letters maybe will be featured here. Let's start with a reaction to the Mike Johnson doesn't have a bank account reporting. The new Speaker of the House hasn't disclosed bank accounts, and it's not really clear why. T.A.D. Robinson wrote in and said, do you have a bank account, David? If he has to disclose info, so do you. And of course, this is not true. I am just a lowly podcast host. I am not in public service. People's taxes don't pay my salary. I have a private company. I don't have to disclose a bank account. This is a red herring. This has nothing to do with what's going on with Mike Johnson. And to T.A.D. Robinson or Tad Robinson, what I would say is, don't you think that the people whose salaries you pay should be accountable? And that you have a right to say, if these are the rules for financial disclosure, you should have to abide by them. Isn't that something you want? Why are you reflexively defending Mike Robinson with a very strange financial situation? You should be saying, hey, my tax money should be going in an accountable way. What is going on with this guy? Why doesn't he have bank accounts, or where is his money, or whatever? David, show us your bank account. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. We do have a number of moon landing didn't happen conspiracy theorists in the audience. We recently reviewed a clip of Candace Owens being interviewed by Bill Maher. And she said she doesn't think that the moon landing happened. And I thought, nobody's left who believes that, right? And yet Brian Bowman commented, but yet we have one of the astronauts saying it was all smoke and mirrors done on a movie set. Buzz Aldridge claiming it's fake. Buzz Aldridge is not the name of one of the people that went to the moon. It's Buzz Aldrin. Why let the details get in the way? And who the hell was filming outside the landing lunar for that first step on the moon? We didn't have the tech back then to have a camera mounted on the outside of the capsule. We can barely get into space now. How the hell do you actually think they did it in 1969? So most of this stuff never happened, okay? The idea that it was all done on a movie set, this is taken completely out of context, that in 2000, Buzz Aldrin said there were animations used to augment people's understanding of what was going on. And people like this guy, Brian, have either misinterpreted it or misunderstood it or are deliberately misstating it as proof that it was staged in a movie set. That's not the case. There are a bunch of online videos and interview clips which have been taken completely out of context, where Aldrin jokes and says it was a prank. It's an obvious joke that's taken out of context. Buzz Aldrin has never claimed that anything was fake. And again, there is corroborating data and observations from the space agencies of multiple other countries who would have loved to have proven that the United States didn't really go to the moon. They all had corroborating data. If it was faked, the Russian space agency and all, they would have loved to have said, hey, they didn't really do this and we have the proof. So how people still fall for this stuff, I really don't get it. Here's a climate science denier. Here's another interesting one. Tellis wrote in and said, quick question. Why is the water level in front of the Statue of Liberty at the same level that it was 100 years ago in pictures? The suggestion here is, if there is really sea level rise, why do the pictures of the Statue of Liberty look like the water level is exactly the same as 100 years ago? Well, first and foremost, it isn't. And the idea that you can tell the exact water level by looking at pictures from various angles of the Statue of Liberty is pretty silly. But there's a bunch of other things that are important to consider. Number one, the change is incremental. Global sea level rise is gradual. We're talking about millimeters per year. And over a century, we're talking about inches to a foot. If you look at the size of the Statue of Liberty Do you really think that from pictures you can discern a 1 foot change? Additionally, when you talk about sea level rise, it's not uniform everywhere. There are different oceans and seas. The amount of sea level rise is different in different places. It's what's called local variation. And also, tidal variations and wind can make it look as though at different times of day, the water level is higher or lower. And the idea that with pictures of the Statue of Liberty, you're going to account for all of those things to come up with such a statement like the water level around the Statue of Liberty hasn't changed for 100 years. Never mind the fact that there have been renovations and modifications done to the shoreline around the Statue of Liberty. So this is like the classic, I'm an incredibly confident person related to things I know nothing about at all. Just, I know nothing about this, but I think I'm really knowledgeable and I'm going to try to make a point. Other messages that came in. For a guy who's supposedly in a dementia-induced coma, that Brandon fella sure knows how to carry out diabolical plots like increasing GDP growth, lowering unemployment, and funding infrastructure projects. Yeah, Joe Biden is simultaneously in a dementia-induced coma and a brilliant mob boss who has enriched himself through crimes over 40 years for which there is no evidence left because he's done such a genius job of cleaning the entire thing up. I know it's hard to believe. I know it's hard to believe. Here's someone who wants to debunk me. Great. They say, what time is your podcast? I'll call. I'll be respectful and respectfully debunk 99% of what you say with facts and statistics. If you're being honest and not afraid, PM me. It's the wrong you're, okay? I'm not going to PM you, okay? I'm too busy doing the show to PM you. But people who want to confront me and people who want to debunk me, not only are you welcome to call in, I encourage you to call in on Discord when we take live calls. I would love to speak with you. I would love to speak with you. Vince Gonzalez Sr. wrote in and says, I'm a Christian, a retired minister, and he, Mike Johnson, scares me like there's no tomorrow. He is so self-absorbed and self-righteous, it's frightening. Anyone who claims God has literally spoken to them is scary. I believe God has spoken to me through his word, and that's one thing. But to believe God has literally, audibly, prophetically spoken to them is truly dangerous and sad. That's Reverend Vincent O. Holland Gonzalez Sr. You heard it from a Christian minister. If you think God is personally talking to you, there might be something a little off. Interpret it however you want. Here's William Lukasik, who says, how old is the earth? The climate change is all the time. 35 years ago, it was, it's going to be an ice age coming now. It's like going to be too hot. The earth naturally does this. What is wrong with people? Trump 2024. I think this one has to be a presented without comment. I don't think I could possibly contend with that. And then lastly today, Alan Richard says, dude, seriously, dude, I know it's for a good cause and all that, but dude, seriously, dude, you have got to lose that mo, referring to my mustache. It is for a good cause. I'm doing No Shave November. Some people call it Movember, in order to support and spotlight prostate cancer, testicular cancer, and men's mental health, including suicide prevention. I am calling negative attention to myself by not shaving my mustache for the month of November. It's going to be with us through and beyond Thanksgiving into the final days of November, but then it will go away. It will go away the way Trump said COVID would go away, very quickly with just a few cases in April of 2020. But the mustache really will go away, unlike Trump's prediction about COVID. All right. So I appreciate the messages of support about Movember. I sympathize with the people saying that this is very bad. The one thing I'm going to throw out there, and I want to hear from people about this. before the mustache goes bye-bye, would it be interesting to get some of the comb-in hair dye to thicken the appearance of the mustache for the last few days of November after Thanksgiving? If folks are interested in a darkened mustache just to see the comedic value and so on and so forth, please let me know, info@davidpakman.com. For people who just listen, you're missing this entire fiasco. And for that, you should be very grateful. We've got a great bonus show coming up for you today.
Oh, the bonus show where you want to make money. Everybody else that makes money to fund themselves is bad.
Yeah, get access to the bonus show. It triggers Alex Jones every time you do. We will see you then. And otherwise, we will be here on Monday.